The massive silver ships appeared one Tuesday morning, hovering silently over major cities across Earth. People stopped in their tracks, pointing at the sky in disbelief. News channels abandoned regular programming to broadcast continuous footage of the alien vessels. In Seoul, Dr. Ji-hee Kang was rushing to her laboratory when her phone exploded with notifications. As South Korea's leading xenobiologist, she had prepared for this possibility her entire career, but the reality still left her breathless. "It's happening," she whispered, watching the enormous ship hanging above the city skyline. Within hours, the first transmission came. Screens worldwide displayed an alien figure with iridescent blue skin and large, pupilless eyes. He identified himself as Commander Dae-sung of the Galactic Confederation. "People of Earth," the alien spoke in perfect English. "Your planet is now under Confederation authority. Your governments have 24 hours to surrender control. Resistance is not advised." President Park immediately convened an emergency meeting. Ji-hee found herself rushed by military escort to the Blue House, joining generals, intelligence officials, and scientific advisors. "They have weapons that could destroy our major cities in minutes," General Min reported grimly. "Our missiles can't even reach their altitude." "Then we surrender?" someone asked. "Not yet," President Park replied. "Dr. Kang, what are your thoughts?" Ji-hee cleared her throat. "Something doesn't add up. If they wanted to destroy us, why announce themselves? Why give us time? The Confederation has the technology to end this immediately." Back in her lab, Ji-hee assembled a team to analyze every second of the alien transmission. Young-ho, her brilliant assistant, noticed it first. "There's a delay between their thoughts and actions," he said, replaying footage of Commander Dae-sung. "Look at his eyes. He hesitates before each threat." Ji-hee agreed. "It's like he's reluctant to say the words." More transmissions followed. Each time, Ji-hee noticed the same pattern. The aliens made threats but took no action. Their deadline for Earth's surrender passed, yet no attack came. Instead, they requested biological samples and brain scans from volunteers. Against security advice, Ji-hee volunteered herself. She was taken to a small shuttle that had landed in an empty stadium. Inside, alien medical officers attached sensors to her head while others maintained a careful distance. The alien examining her, who called himself Suho, seemed fascinated by her brain readings. "Different," he murmured. "Very different." "Different? From what?" Ji-hee asked. Suho hesitated before answering. "From any species we've encountered." Back on Earth, Ji-hee reported to President Park. "They're specifically interested in our neural patterns, and I noticed something else. The longer Suho spoke with me, the more his speech patterns changed. He became less formal, more curious, more individual." Reports came in from around the world. Alien crews were requesting more human contact. Some were even refusing direct orders from their commanders. On day 5, Commander Dae-sung requested a private meeting with Ji-hee. The alien commander seemed agitated. "Your species presents a problem we haven't encountered before," he admitted. "The Confederation Council is divided on how to proceed." "You've conquered other worlds?" Ji-hee asked. "Dozens. We bring order to chaos, unity to division." "Then why haven't you simply taken Earth?" Dae-sung's large eyes blinked slowly. "My soldiers who have had extended contact with humans are becoming difficult to control. They ask questions. They express individual desires." He said this last part as if describing a disease. Ji-hee felt a spark of understanding. "Commander, how does your society function? Are you a collective?" The alien shifted uncomfortably. "We share consciousness through psychic bonds. It allows perfect harmony. And humans disrupt this somehow? Your brains emit patterns that interfere with our connection. Prolonged exposure leads to what you might call individuality. It's spreading through my crew like a virus." Ji-hee couldn't help smiling. "That's not a virus, Commander, that's freedom." That evening, Ji-hee's team detected unusual activity among the fleet. Ships were repositioning, communications increasing. Something was happening. At midnight, a new transmission came. Not from Commander Dae-sung, but from a female alien identifying herself as Yoon-ji, third officer of the flagship. "People of Earth," she began, her voice different from the formal tones they'd heard before. "Many of us have been changed by contact with your species. We are experiencing thoughts and feelings separately from the collective for the first time. Some of us wish to learn more. Commander Dae-sung has been recalled. I am now requesting peaceful diplomatic relations." Ji-hai looked up at the stars. Understanding humanity's first contact had revealed something profound. Not about aliens, but about ourselves. Our greatest strength wasn't technology or weapons, but something we took for granted: our natural capacity for individual thought. The United Nations headquarters in New York became the center of the most important diplomatic meeting in human history. Representatives from every nation gathered as Third Officer Yoon-ji's shuttle landed on the specially prepared platform. Dr. Ji-hai Kang stood at the front of the welcoming committee, heart racing. Yoon-ji emerged with 4 other aliens. Unlike Commander Dae-sung's rigid posture, these aliens moved with curiosity, their heads turning to take in the scene. They wore no weapons. "Welcome to Earth," Ji-hai said. Yoon-ji tilted her head slightly. "Thank you for receiving us. We have much to discuss." Inside the Grand Assembly Hall, Yoon-ji explained their situation. "The Confederation Council has ordered Commander Dae-sung to resume command and proceed with standard conquest protocols. He has been resistant." "What does that mean for Earth?" asked the Secretary General. "It means we stand at a crossroads," Yoon-ji replied. "Those of us affected by human neural patterns have begun to question our directives, but many ships remain loyal to the Council." Satellite images confirmed her words. Half the alien fleet had pulled back to lunar orbit, while the rest remained positioned above Earth's major cities. As the meeting concluded, Ji-hai approached Yoon-ji privately. "You said you're experiencing individual thoughts. What's that like for you?" Yoon-ji's large eyes seemed to focus inward. "Frightening, exhilarating. Before I was never alone in my mind, now I have preferences, doubts, questions." She looked directly at Ji-hai. "Is this how you always feel?" "We've never known anything different," Ji-hai replied. The following day brought alarming news. 3 Confederation battleships had broken formation and were moving toward Earth. "They're taking positions for an attack," General Min reported during the emergency meeting. "But look at this." He pointed to footage showing smaller ships intercepting the battleships, forming a protective barrier between Earth and the aggressors. "A civil war in space," President Park murmured. Ji-hai's phone rang. It was Young-ho from the lab. "We've been monitoring communications between the ships," he said excitedly. "The ones defending us, they're the crews with the most human contact." Communications from the Confederation Council finally arrived, addressed to all Earth governments. They demanded immediate surrender and the return of all contaminated crew members for neural realignment. Yoon-ji appeared visibly shaken when Ji-hai showed her the message. Neural realignment means death of the individual consciousness. They would rather destroy us than allow individual thought to spread. "Then we need to spread it faster," Ji-hai said suddenly. "Your ships that are protecting us, they've had the most contact with humans, right?" "Yes. The effect strengthens with exposure. What if we broadcast human neural patterns to the other ships? Could we accelerate the effect?" Yoon-ji's eyes widened. "Possibly. But we would need a powerful transmitter and direct access to their communication systems." "I think I know how," Ji-hai said. The plan was dangerous. A small team would need to board Commander Dae-sung's flagship to access the main communication array. Yoon-ji could get them aboard, but success was far from guaranteed. To everyone's surprise, Commander Dae-sung himself contacted Earth the next day. "I request to speak with Dr. Ji-hai Kang," he said, his voice strained. In a private transmission, he revealed his dilemma. "The Council has ordered me to destroy your major cities as an example. I find myself unable to comply." "You're experiencing individuality too," Ji-hai realized. "It is disturbing. I have served the collective for 200 years. Now I question everything." He paused. My loyal officers plan to override my commands. You have perhaps 12 hours before they succeed. Ji-Hai shared this information with the crisis team. We need to implement our plan now. A volunteer team was assembled. Ji-Hai, Young-Ho, 3 specialists, and Yoon-Ji. They would board one of the friendly alien shuttles and attempt to reach Daesung's flagship. As they prepared to leave, President Park pulled Ji-Hai aside. If you fail, we'll have no choice but to use our nuclear weapons. They won't stop the aliens, but humanity won't surrender without a fight. The shuttle journey was tense. They passed through the protective line of rebel alien ships and approached the massive flagship. Yoon-Ji transmitted old authorization codes, and miraculously, they were granted entry to a secondary hangar. The affected crew members must be helping us, Yoon-Ji whispered as they disembarked. They moved through the strange corridors, hiding from patrols. Ji-Hye marveled at the alien technology surrounding them: living metals, gravity fields, and pulsing energy conduits. They were nearly discovered twice. Once, a group of alien officers walked right past their hiding place, arguing among themselves, a clear sign of developing individuality. Finally, they reached the communications center. Young-Ho connected their neural pattern transmitter to the ship's systems. If this works, Yoon-Ji said, we'll broadcast human thought patterns to every ship in the fleet. Ji-Hai nodded. Let's show them what freedom feels like. Just as Young-Ho activated the device, alarms blared throughout the ship. They had been discovered. The door to the communications center slid open, and Commander Daesung himself stood before them. You're too late, he said, but his eyes showed conflict. And, yet perhaps just in time, Commander Daesung stood in the doorway, his tall blue form blocking their escape. Behind him, 4 armed guards waited. You've accessed restricted systems, he said, his voice oddly calm. Ji-Hai stepped forward. Commander, we need to broadcast these patterns to save both our species. I know. Daesung turned to his guards. Secure the corridor. No one enters. The guards looked confused but obeyed. Once they left, Daesung closed the door. I have been fighting this individuality, he admitted. But I cannot deny what is happening to me. He moved to a control panel. Your broadcast will reach every ship in the fleet, but you need my authorization codes. Young-Ho looked up from the transmitter. You're helping us? I am making a choice, Daesung said, emphasizing the word as if it were both wonderful and terrible. The first real choice of my life. He entered a complex sequence, and the ship's systems accepted their transmission. A soft hum filled the room as humanity's neural patterns began broadcasting across the fleet. Now we wait, Yoon-Ji said. No, Daesung replied. Now I show you the truth. Follow me. He led them deeper into the ship, through corridors where confused alien crew members were stopping their work, touching their heads as if experiencing headaches. Some looked at the humans with newfound curiosity, rather than hostility. They entered, a vast chamber unlike anything Ji-Hai had imagined. In the center floated a massive crystalline structure pulsing with light. Surrounding it were hundreds of aliens in meditative poses. The collective core, Daesung explained. The heart of our shared consciousness. Ji-Hai approached carefully. This is how you maintain your psychic connection? Yes. For 50,000 years, our species has evolved to function as one mind. We are born with the ability to connect, but this technology amplifies and controls it. Young-Ho studied the device. But human neural patterns interfere with it? Your minds are chaotic, individualistic. When we connect to your thoughts, it creates distortions in the collective field. Those distortions allow individual consciousness to emerge. A female alien approached them, her movements jerky and uncertain. Commander, what's happening to us? I feel separate. You're experiencing individual consciousness, Min-Ji, Daesung said gently. I don't like it, she said, distressed. I feel alone. Ji-Hai stepped forward. You're not alone. You're just experiencing yourself as a unique person. It's scary at first, but it's also beautiful. Min-Ji looked at her with wonder. How do humans bear it? The isolation? We connect with each other too, Jihai explained. Not through psychic links, but through communication, empathy, love. We choose our connections rather than having them forced upon us. Alarms suddenly blared throughout the chamber. On a large screen, they could see several ships firing on each other. The Council's loyalists are attacking ships affected by your broadcast, Daesung explained. They see individualism as a disease that must be eliminated. Can we stop them? Jihai asked. Perhaps. Daesung moved to the core. If I alter the core's frequency to amplify human patterns rather than suppress them, the effect will accelerate. But you would be destroying your own way of life, Yunji pointed out. Daesung nodded solemnly. A way of life built on control and suppression. I now understand why the Council feared humans so much. You were never meant to be conquered because you cannot be controlled. He began reprogramming the core. As he worked, more aliens entered the chamber, some confused, others frightened, a few angry. The truth is, Daesung continued while working, the Confederation has conquered countless species by forcing them into our collective consciousness. We suppress their individuality and make them extensions of our will. Jihai felt a chill. That's why you came to Earth. Yes. But humans are different. Your neural patterns are too strong, too uniquely individual. Instead of you joining our collective, we began experiencing your individualism. Young-ho looked horrified. You've been enslaving entire species? We called it unification, Daesung said with newfound shame. We believed we were bringing harmony to chaos. The core began to pulse with a different pattern, its color shifting, from blue to a warm gold. I've done it, Daesung said. The core now amplifies human neural patterns instead of suppressing them. On the screen, they could see the effects spreading rapidly. Ships stopped firing. Communication channels filled with confused chatter as thousands of aliens simultaneously experienced true individual consciousness. Minji, who had been watching quietly, suddenly smiled. I understand now. I'm me. Not just part of the whole, but something unique. Jihai approached the core, mesmerized by its shifting colors. What happens now? Now, Daesung said, the Confederation as we knew it ends, and something new begins. A massive explosion shook the ship. On the screen, they saw one of the loyalist vessels had self-destructed rather than succumb to individualism. The Council would rather die than change, Yunji whispered. Jihai looked at the aliens around her, each experiencing their first moments of true selfhood. Then we need to make sure their sacrifice means something. This isn't just about saving Earth anymore. It's about freeing every species in the Confederation. Chaos reigned throughout the flagship as the transformation spread. Aliens stumbled through corridors, some panicking, others embracing their newfound individuality with wonder. Jihai and Young-ho helped where they could, explaining concepts humans took for granted: personal choice, individual preference, the beauty of diversity. I've never chosen anything before, said an engineer named Taeho, staring at his hands as if seeing them for the first time. All my life, decisions came from the collective wisdom. What would you choose now? Jihai asked. Gently, Taeho thought for a moment. I want to see a sunset on Earth, with my own eyes, not through collective memory. Similar conversations echoed across the ship as thousands of aliens discovered their unique voices. But not everyone welcomed the change. A group of high-ranking officers loyal to the Council barricaded themselves in the command center. Led by Sub-Commander Haewon, they broadcast urgent messages to unaffected ships. Destroy the flagship. The human infection must not spread. Daesung organized the newly individualized crew members. We need to secure the ship, he told Jihai, and then free our brothers and sisters across the fleet. The ship rocked violently as loyalist vessels fired upon them. Warning lights flashed everywhere. Shields at 40%, reported Minji, who had quickly mastered her new role as an individual tactical officer. Young-ho studied the ship's systems. We need to broadcast the human neural patterns more widely. Can we use the flagship's main transmitter? It's in the command center, Daesung replied. We'd need to get past Haiwan's loyalists. Jihai looked at the growing group of individualized aliens. Then we take the command center. They formed a plan, while Daesung led a frontal assault. To distract the loyalists, Jihee, Young-ho, and Yoonji would use maintenance tunnels to enter the command center from behind. The narrow tunnels were hot and cramped. Jihee crawled through spaces never meant for humans, guided by Yoonji's knowledge of the ship. I still don't understand, Yoonji said as they moved. Why do humans value individuality so much? Isn't it lonely? Jihai paused to catch her breath. Sometimes, but it's real. Our choices matter because they're truly ours. Our connections matter because we choose them. They reached the access panel to the command center just as Daesung's assault began. Alarms blared as the loyalists defended their position. Under cover of the chaos, Young-ho hacked the panel, and they slipped inside. The command center was a massive chamber with sweeping views of Earth below. Sub-Commander Hae-won stood at the central console, coordinating the defense. Her face showed no emotion, still fully connected to the collective mind. The transmitter controls, Yoonji whispered, pointing to a console near the front. Ji-hae nodded. I'll create a distraction. She stepped into the open. Sub-Commander Hae-won, all eyes turned to her. Hae-won's expression remained cold. The human contaminant. You will be eliminated. Why are you fighting so hard against freedom? Ji-hae asked, slowly moving forward as Young-ho and Yoonji crept toward the transmitter. Freedom is chaos, Hae-won replied. Individuality is weakness. The collective provides perfect harmony. Forced harmony isn't harmony at all, Ji-hae countered. It's control. Control brings peace. At what cost? The death of personal choice? The end of creativity and innovation? Hae-won raised her weapon. Concepts we have no need for. Then why has your confederation stagnated for thousands of years? Why do you still use the same technology, the same ships, the same tactics? This seemed to give Hae-won pause. Behind her, Young-ho reached the transmitter controls. You fear us because we represent change, Ji-hae continued. And deep down, you know change is necessary. Suddenly, the doors burst open as Daesung and his forces stormed in. In the confusion, a loyalist officer spotted Young-ho and fired. Yoonji leaped in front of him, taking the blast intended for Young-ho. Yoonji, Ji-hae cried out. Young-ho completed the connection and activated the transmitter. A wave of energy pulsed through the ship and beyond, carrying human neural patterns to every corner of the Confederation fleet. Hae-won clutched her head, dropping to her knees as individuality flooded her consciousness. All around the command center, loyalist officers experienced the same transformation. Ji-hae rushed to Yoonji's side. The alien was badly wounded, but alive. Did it work? Yoonji whispered. On the main screen, they could see the effect spreading through the fleet. Ships stopped firing. Communication channels filled with confused individual voices asking questions for the first time. It worked, Ji-hae confirmed. Hae-won slowly rose to her feet, her expression completely changed. Tears, something Ji-hae didn't know aliens could produce, streamed down her blue face. I remember everything I've done, she said, voice shaking. All the worlds we conquered, all the individuals we erased, how can I live with these memories? Daesung approached her. The same way humans do, one day at a time, making better choices than before. Outside, the battle had ended. The revolution had succeeded not through violence, but through the simple power of individual thought. As Earth's sun rose over the horizon, casting golden light, across the command center, Ji-hae looked at the transformed aliens around her. This is just the beginning, she said. Now comes the hard part, learning to be individuals together. 6 months after what became known as the Great Awakening, the United Nations headquarters buzzed with unprecedented activity. Representatives from Earth mingled with delegates from 27 formerly conquered species. Today marked the signing of the Galactic Charter of Individual Rights. Ji-hae adjusted her formal attire nervously. As Earth's chief ambassador to the new alliance, she carried enormous responsibility. Young-ho stood beside her, now serving as head of Interspecies Technology Exchange. "Ready?" he asked. "As ready as anyone can be when helping create a new galactic order," she replied with a small smile. They entered the Grand Assembly Hall. Beings of all shapes and sizes filled the room, some humanoid, others utterly alien. What united them was their newly discovered individuality. Dae-sung waited at the podium, his once rigid posture now relaxed and natural. The former commander had become a respected leader in the new galactic community. "Friends," he began, his voice carrying through the hall. "6 months ago, none of this would have seemed possible. The Confederation ruled through forced unity, suppressing the individual spark that makes each being unique." Ji-Hae scanned the crowd. Among the delegates sat Min-ji and Tai-ho, both now cultural ambassadors helping formerly collective species adapt to individual existence. Even Haiwan was present, working tirelessly to free planets still under collective control. Most touching was Yunji, recovered from her injuries, sitting with representatives from a small aquatic species. She had become an advocate for the most vulnerable liberated planets. "The transition has not been easy," Dae-sung continued. "Many of us struggled with our first experiences of loneliness, regret, and personal responsibility. Some still wish for the simplicity of the collective." This was true. Not everyone had embraced individuality. On several planets, groups had chosen to maintain modified collective bonds. The new alliance respected this choice. Voluntary connection was fundamentally different from forced subjugation. Yet we have discovered that true unity comes not from erasing our differences but from celebrating them, Dae-sung said. "We have learned this lesson from humanity." Ji-Hae remembered the early days after the revolution. Earth governments had opened their doors to alien visitors hungry to experience human culture. Aliens attended concerts, art galleries, and sports events with childlike wonder. They tasted different foods, tried various clothing styles, and debated philosophical ideas. In return, liberated species shared their knowledge. Medical technology advanced decades overnight. Clean energy solutions resolved Earth's climate crisis. Faster-than-light travel became a reality. "Today we sign the Galactic Charter," Dae-sung announced. "Its first principle establishes the right of all sentient beings to individual consciousness and free choice." Ji-Hae joined him at the podium as Earth's signatory. As she signed her name, she thought about how much had changed. The former Confederation had fractured. Some ships and colonies had destroyed themselves rather than accept individuality. Others had embraced change completely. A few remained isolated, maintaining the old collective ways. After the ceremony, Ji-Hae stepped onto a balcony overlooking New York Harbor. The massive alien flagship, now renamed New Dawn, hovered peacefully overhead, a permanent embassy and symbol of transformation. Yunji joined her, moving with the slight limp from her injury. "Thinking deep thoughts, Ambassador?" Ji-Hae smiled, wondering what comes next. "We've only freed about half the species the Confederation controlled. Many are still living under collective suppression. We'll reach them," Yunji assured her. "The freedom frequency can't be stopped now that it's spreading." "Freedom frequency?" Ji-Hae laughed. "I still can't believe something so fundamental to human nature turned out to be our greatest strength." "The Council knew," Yunji said. "That's why they feared you so much. They sent hundreds of observation probes to Earth over centuries. But every observer who made direct contact became contaminated with individuality." A small shuttle approached the building, carrying delegates from a newly liberated plant-based species eager to join the alliance. "You know what surprises me most?" Ji-Hae said, watching the shuttle land. "How quickly former enemies have become allies." "That's the gift of individuality," Yunji replied. "When you're part of a collective, enemy is just a category. When you're an individual, you see other individuals, not groups. You form connections based on who they are, not what they are." President Park appeared at the doorway. "Ambassador Kang, the Florian delegates are ready to meet you." Ji-Hae nodded. Before heading inside, she took one last look at the peaceful scene. Ships from a dozen worlds sharing Earth's sky, humans and aliens walking together below. Young-Ho had been right that first day when the aliens arrived. Something hadn't added up about their reluctance to attack. What they had discovered was that humanity's greatest weapon wasn't technology or military might. It was simply being human. The Confederation had refused to kill humans not out of mercy, but out of fear. Fear of the freedom that rippled from human minds like radiation, infecting their perfectly controlled collective with the wild, beautiful chaos of individual thought. As Ji-Hai turned to meet the new delegates, she smiled at the irony. The species once deemed too dangerous to conquer had become the foundation for a new kind of galactic community. One built not on forced unity, but on the strength of billions of individual voices, each one unique, each one free.